Welcome back to Whatever We Want, a podcast about celebrating storytelling. We talk movies, TV shows, video games, and beyond every week. And this week we are starting our recap of Avatar: The Last Airbender, leading up to the new show. And we were joined by a very special guest. Not Daniel. Daniel's always here. Just kidding. Hi, Daniel. How's it going? It's all right.
Hey, it's going pretty good. But no, we have a special guest, which is...
Logan Baker. Logan, who has also been on the pod before. As we mentioned last time, the last episode you were on was the food episode, and you've been in, I think, the most episodes because you were in the background of a lot of the very early video episodes because you were my roommate in college. You're also an Avatar aficionado. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Freaking pumped to be
Doing
talking
good,
about
dude.
this.
Yeah.
We've been talking about
Doing
this
good.
podcast, doing this like Avatar rewatch for so long, and when I found out that they were doing a live action one, I was like, we'll do it whenever that comes out. And it's been freaking like 4 years since it's been announced, and we came up with this idea that it's about to come out. So I'm so happy we're finally doing this. But yeah, just a little stuff up top to talk about the structure of these next few episodes. This week, we were originally thinking about doing like a season per episode and getting through all of Avatar in like 3 weeks, but I just feel like we were talking, Logan and I were texting, Daniel and I were texting, and I feel like it's just like too vast, and Avatar deserves more than that. Like some more like in-depth analysis.
Yeah.
So the way it's going to work, instead of doing that, we're going to do this week, we're talking about the first 10 episodes of book 1, so season 1 of Avatar, and then next week we're going to talk about the last 10 episodes of book 1, and then we're going to do the M. Night Shyamalan live action movie, unfortunately. And then I think around that time the new show should be coming out, which also only covers season 1 of the show. So at that point we'll have been talking about season 1 for 3 weeks, so we'll be like experts in it, I feel like. So yeah, that's the plan. Any questions, concerns from you guys about the plan?
Nah, dude, that sounds solid to me.
Works for me. I can't wait to get into it.
All right, so book 1. I kind of figured we could just kind of go through like each episode, talk about some highlights from each, and like a bunch of other fun things, some recaps, some reviews, behind the scenes stuff, whatever. But I want to ask you both overall, Logan as our guest, what do you think of book 1? Or just what do you think of Avatar in general? Your opinion on Avatar, the show?
I mean, you could call Avatar kind of like a gateway drug to other animes. A little like it's for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It really a lot of people our age at least who remember watching it as a kid and then kind of grew up with it. It might have been a great segue into learning about different like Japanese style anime artwork and everything else because of the influence that had on the two creators. It clearly shows up in all of the episodes.
Yeah, it's like anime light almost. Like doesn't have all of the tropes of anime. And I remember listening to some podcasts. I think like the creators didn't want it to be full. Like a lot of people when they think anime, they think like very big eyes and often like over sexualized women. And they didn't want to take those aspects of anime. They just wanted like the kind of, I don't know, like overarching story and the influences of certain art styles. And I think they, in my opinion, picked like the best bits of it to incorporate and kind of make their own thing. I kind of coined the term Amerianime instead of anime. It's like American anime.
I mean, most people just say American anime, but yeah, I think.
I like anime.
Like the hybrid animals, in
true.
Avatar, I'm combining them to Amerianime.
Yeah, I think Miyazaki is a really big influence on both the creators.
Oh, yeah.
I remember hearing them talk about him a lot when they were working on creating this whole world of theirs.
Yeah, you can definitely see the influences all around. It like in the show pop up. It's also interesting, but I'll get into that's more book 1. But Daniel, what are your thoughts just on Avatar? Your thoughts on it as a whole?
I like the concept as a whole. I mean, there's always been something special about just the concept with the core nature of like all the elements, but then also how they expanded the universe into the philosophy of the more spiritual side of things and just the world building. For me, I mean, you guys know this. I'm a sucker for world building.
This world fantastic world building.
Is Daniel, just designed beautifully.
If you haven't seen Hello Future Me, it's this like YouTube channel, and he specifically focuses on talking about world building, and he talks about different like pop culture like big epic stories that have excellent world building, and he has like a lot of what he talks about is just Avatar and like their world building, and he dives into like the history of like the Earth Kingdom and how they like how the creators thought of like how they developed and how like their civilization is built around being able to move the earth. It's like fantastic. I highly recommend you check that out if you haven't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. Sorry,
was that
Hello
called?
Future Me is what it's called.
Hello Future Me. Okay, I'll have to give that a look.
Yeah, but sorry, you were saying just overall about.
But yeah,
Avatar?
no, it's just great when it comes to like comparing the different books. Though it's funny going back on this rewatch and seeing like how much things from what I remember in the later books, how things like changed from this OG Book of Water, and it's just like
yeah.
And it's not like anything bad. It's just like it's great
I think
seeing,
they
like,
also
how things progressed.
Didn't have the
And, like,
resources or the knowledge for how to do this in the very beginning. Like a lot of it was figuring out the world, the rules of the like the world and this story. And also Nickelodeon, this was such like a risk for them and like kind of unproven that I don't know if they were given like all of the resources they would have liked starting out. Also, they were like very young first time creator, like showrunners. Like I think they were in their like 20s when they were showrunning, like heading this project. And like I remember in one podcast, like the one guy had like a very big beard and like was bald, so a lot of people that he was working with that were older than him thought that he was like in his late 30s, early 40s, and then when they found out he was like in his 20s, they were like, what? Like you're telling me what to do and you're in your 20s?
That's Mike DiMartino.
Yeah.
And then Brian Konietzko is the other creator.
Right. Yeah, I think they met like in college at Rhode Island or something like that. They went to school with like Seth MacFarlane, and like were also helped out on like Family Guy, I think, a little bit. But yeah, like it's for me personally, just my overall cool little blurb about Avatar. I agree with what you both said. Like I personally love this show. Like when we had that episode, Daniel, where we talked about like the media that influenced us the most growing up into getting into our respective fields, like Avatar was one of the like 8 or whatever that I talked about that like really like opened my eyes, because I really like it doesn't like Avatar doesn't treat you, it's a kid show, but it doesn't treat you like you're a kid. Like it has really complex themes that you can appreciate as like an adult, and then fun things you can appreciate like as a kid. And it was just completely different. Like my first exposure to something that's like really different than like the typical Nickelodeon cartoons like SpongeBob, which again I love, like but SpongeBob, like this is like so different and like open up the possibility of like different world building, and it's just so freaking sick. The risks they took and how they pulled it off, the storytelling, the characters are all fantastic in my opinion. It's not without its faults. Like there are some things, especially in this season, I wanted to talk about. But I can't speak highly enough about the show. I literally have above my bed right now like a metal display of Uncle Iroh under the tree, Logan, that was hung up in our college apartment.
That one. Yeah.
I still got it.
I remember that.
But yeah. So let's jump into like book 1, I guess. We've talked about like the show overall. I personally do want to say that like I think book 1 is my least favorite of the 3. And it's not that it's bad. Like there are fantastic elements that I do want to highlight in this, but I think again they didn't have the funding and they were finding their footing with like the animation style and also somewhat the characters. They had a lot of it mapped out. Like they had like a show bible from the beginning that had all the story like mapped out, which is also awesome that they thought that far ahead. But I think this season is the weakest just because the other 2 are so fantastic in my opinion.
Yeah. And again, I agree with that. But at the same time, I don't think we should discredit the season. It is the foundation. Not. Yeah. And it's just amazing to see like again, just a lot of the footwork being done here to like set up those, again, in my opinion, I agree with you, Jake, the better later seasons too. Again, it's just like baby steps.
What would you guys say your favorite season is?
I would guaranteed say season 3 or book 3. But I would also say like if season 2 and 3 are a 10 out of 10, I think season 1's probably got to be like a 9.5 out of 10. It's so close. Yeah. It's just barely not there.
Also, you cannot have season 2 or 3 without the setup of season 1.
Yeah, exactly.
Which like I totally understand and don't want to diminish it at all. But you're saying season 3 is your favorite, Daniel? What about you?
That's tough. I'm also inclined to say season 3, just from the way that I mean, again, with how everything was planned out and set, everything was good. You get good old Boom Boom Man.
Sparky Boom Boom.
Yeah. Like, come on. But
That's
no,
right.
no,
That's your reason. That's your only reason
yeah.
for season 3 being great. Not everything comes to a
Just-
culmination, but Sparky Boom Man.
not Zuko finding his new source of fire bending and the dragons.
Oh,
and
also,
the
yeah,
light and all that.
spoilers for all of Avatar.
Oh yeah,
Also-
for all that. How old? From like
2005.
Yeah.
To 2007 or 8, whatever it was.
Yeah, big spoilers from like
I've always been a
20 years ago.
proponent of season 2. Like, I really like season 2. Like, I like both. I like all 3 seasons. 2 and 3
Yeah.
are my favorite, but I honestly, and I don't know, I might have to reassess once we rewatch those. Maybe I was just trying to be different, like, ooh, season 2. But I think I'm also just biased towards Earth. Like, I really like them kind of finding their footing, pun unintended, with like Earth, and like Bossing Say was always so sick, and
Yeah.
I don't know, I really do like season 2. So, but we'll talk about that when we get there, I guess.
Yeah.
I also, as we go through each episode, I kind of want to rank all of the episodes kind of like out of 10, and just kind of get your opinions on like what are the best episodes this season.
Are you gonna
Should we start?
Are you gonna write them down somewhere so that we can kind of come back once we're through season 3 and look back at, you know, all of the 10 out of 10 episodes that I'm sure
That is true. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then maybe
Also,
rank them final.
Yeah. We'll rank all of them. Yeah, I'll definitely do that. I also, when I was thinking about these, because I thought about it beforehand, I was ranking it on a scale of Avatar episodes, not like TV in general, because I think if it was TV in general, all of these would be like 8 through 10s, and that'd be like way too close. So I'm thinking in terms of like Avatar episodes. So it might seem a little like I'm being a little harsh, but I'm just like, it's a higher like bar to reach, in my opinion. So just if you hear me on my first rating and are like, what the heck, like that's why. Yeah, so Boy and Iceberg, the first episode, what do you think of this one as an episode, just overall? Anything you want to highlight, Logan?
I mean, this is just intro into the world, and originally the first 2 episodes, I believe, were aired together, depending on how you want to break this up. But like, if you consider just episode 1 as in and of itself, it doesn't really feel like it has much of a completion to it, and that's why, because it was originally released at the same time as episode 2. I think it's just impressive how quickly they get into everything and just show you what is going on in this world. Like, it's
because it's a lot. It's like a lot of high concept stuff for a kid's show to get you to wrap your head around, and they do an excellent job. Like, I totally agree. Like, when Katara is on the boat and like Sokka's like, oh, like you're doing magical water, and like that already introduces you to like bending and everything. I like totally agree. But sorry, I interrupted you. You were saying?
No, I mean, that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, they start out and it very immediately show you what is happening. There's been a war that's been going on for 100 years now. Everyone's tired. The Southern Water Tribe is basically decimated, and they're almost out of hope. And very quickly you can see what's happening with the world. And by the end of the first episode, there's that little spark of hope again that's come back, because Sokka and Katara happened into the Avatar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, the 4:3 aspect ratio like really threw me off
Really
when I
set me
first
back.
started watching this. When I was on Netflix, I was like, whoa, like that's interesting. I forgot about that. I forget if that's throughout the whole show or if they eventually like adopted a more widescreen format.
I don't know.
Have to
I
check it
assume
out.
that only the change would only happen in book 3, but we'll have to look into that.
It also like threw me off, like
yeah.
just how much the characters changed throughout the whole show. Like Sokka is like a sexist, misogynist like pig at the beginning of this series. And to be fair, he kind of gets like that whipped out of him very early on, like in the Kyoshi episode coming up. But yeah, it's interesting. Like Aang, like his voice even is like so young, and he's just this carefree kid. And it's kind of sad because I know like his childhood innocence is about to be like ripped from him. Katara freaking like starting out could barely like move a wave. Like it's kind of crazy. Zuko, that horrible ponytail look.
Yeah.
We should rank Zuko's looks throughout.
Throughout. Yeah.
What do you guys give the
everybody's looks
ponytail look?
That'd be like a -1.
I'll give him a 1.
I don't
A
know how
solid
May
1.
could like him like that, dude. That's freaking. Ugh. Now, then again, he didn't really have that before he was banished, did he?
I'll give him a 2, the ponytail, but when he goes in a later episode to sleeveless ponytail, that's a 4, I think.
True,
look
yeah,
right there.
yeah.
I also, speaking of Zuko, in the original pitch, Zuko wasn't a character, like, at all. In the show Bible, like, I think they eventually incorporated him, but, like, originally they had the story with Aang and these 2 other kids, like the 3 of them as a group going together, and then there was the Fire Lord was the overarching, like, big threat. But one of the Nickelodeon execs, Eric Coleman, who like worked with them throughout the whole process very closely, and they had nothing but good things to say about him. He said, like, you need someone that's like boots on the ground, like is going to be after them every episode, so that the threat is like more
persistent,
and yeah, like feels like it's not far off away in like a kingdom, like it feels like it's pressing and urgent. And originally, I think they were just talking about like some adult, like Admiral Zhao like figure, and then the Eric Coleman again was like, what if it's scary if it's just like a kid, also a kid, like a really driven, motivated kid, and that's how Zuko kind of came about, and then it became like everyone's favorite character, which is really cool.
That's crazy, man. I didn't know that he wasn't originally part of the thing, because again, he is just really well.
It feels like he's
Like,
so
his role
woven
is
in, yeah.
Needed, yeah.
Like him and Aang are like yin and yang, like freaking, yeah.
Yin, Aang.
Hey.
That's so bad.
Yeah. So also just like, dude, the music in this. Daniel, do you still have your instrument?
I was gonna whip it out. My kalimba.
Yeah. Do you play it? Do you still know how to play it?
The freaking. I don't know if it's gonna show up for you guys.
Dude, I'm getting goosebumps, man. Like, that is so nostalgic. That's pretty good.
Aang's theme
Did that come
is
through in
beautiful.
Discord?
It came up very lightly for me, but yeah, I could like get the gist of it.
Oh, it's so good. It makes me so happy being able to know how to play that.
Yeah.
It is such a beautiful theme, and all of the music in this show is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, extraordinary.
It's extremely impressive. I think the sound designer and music designer are both like really young guys, just like Brian and Mike.
Oh, really?
They were
That's
brand
so
new
sick.
as well, and this was probably, I think it was one of their first like major shows or movies or
kinda
anything
love
that they've
that.
done. They brought in completely new guys for the purpose of having that fresh blood and
Yeah,
and a
I
new
love that because
perspective.
you're not like, you don't have any preconceived ideas of what like a show should be, so you don't know like what's not possible, and you just like go for anything. I really like that. That's so sick.
They had them learning all kinds of new instruments and stuff, like
That's so
Eastern
cool.
instruments for this show. You can hear it too. You can really tell that
Yeah.
it's not
That'd be so fun just
anything.
to come in and play around with
Yeah.
different instruments. That's
I'm
so
sure
sick.
it was
Yeah.
stressful though. Holy crap.
Oh yeah.
Learning a new instrument in a couple of weeks for this episode coming up, that'd be scary.
That like thousands of people will listen to.
Will this sound right? Will this be what we need? Like,
Yeah.
oh man, yeah.
Also, want to highlight that Dave Filoni directed these first 2 episodes, who then famously went on to do Clone Wars, and then like is doing like Mandalorian and all that stuff now. But like this was his job before that, and just also in Logan and I held up. We both have this book, like The Art of Avatar. There's a lot of his like concepts in like in book 1 that like he designed a lot of stuff like flashing forward. But to the Jet episode in this book, it talks about the reason Jet lives in like a treehouse, and it's like inspired by the Ewoks. That's what Dave Filoni like wanted to kind of hide that Easter egg in there.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
The goat himself.
Yeah. So this first episode, The Boy in the Iceberg, what do you guys rank that out of 10?
Are we combining
I'll
it
write
with
it
the first and second episodes?
Let's keep it all separate.
Okay.
Just to, yeah.
That's probably smart.
That's tough.
Because there's a couple 2-parters.
Yeah. I would say it's probably got to be like maybe a 5 or 6. Like it's kind of middle of the road, and that's
Yeah.
a
I'm
lot
going to put
because
5.5 for you, Logan.
Sure, yeah. I think that's a lot because of the fact that it doesn't have the beginning, middle, and end that you would expect.
Right.
It really it's setting up the entire world, and it does it phenomenally.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember correctly, it ends. It only ends when the firework or whatever flare is sent up
Yeah, the booby
to
trap.
Yes.
Yeah.
the Fire
Which is
Nation.
basically like the midpoint of the whole story. So
Exactly, yeah. So you don't even
Yeah.
of that, two-parter.
you don't have the full ending of Aang and Zuko first meeting and everything like that, which is where that comes in the second episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Daniel, what do you give it?
I agree with that as like a 5 or 6 is what I
I'll
was
give
going to
you
say.
a 5.5 as well. I've put
Yeah.
all of my scores beforehand. I gave this one a 6.5. Just because like it sets up the whole thing, man. Like without this, like it's Aang coming out of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Like that's and like the beam of light, like that. And I do agree. Like it's besides that, there's not much going on. But like I believe it sets up the rules of the world pretty well. So I give it a 6.5.
I respect
one
that.
thing-
Yeah.
That I keep on coming back to in my mind now. And I'm just like, man, Sokka's like really the only dude with a tribe full of MILFs. And I'm
And
like,
Gilfs, Gran.
so I'm like, dude, what are you doing? You know? Not them, apparently.
Maybe
But
that's
yeah.
how he has immaculate riz throughout the rest of the show.
How old is Sokka starting out? 12, 13?
I think he's 14.
I
Okay.
thought he's like 14
Or 15, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I think he's
I thought
probably
Zuko
14.
was 15.
And then Katara's 2 years younger, so 12?
No, because Aang's 12. I thought Katara was 14 and Sokka was 15, and then
Oh,
Zuko's
okay.
16. I believe that's the
Yeah, no, that's
the
it.
order.
Yeah.
Zuko's definitely the
Well,
oldest.
actually, Aang's 112.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
True.
I also wanted to highlight kind of like a pretty quick thing that happens here. Like when they're penguin sledding on like the otter penguins or whatever, Katara's like, I haven't done this since I was a kid. And Aang's like, you still are. And it like kind of like that moment goes away quickly, but that's like a pretty heavy moment because Katara also and Sokka also have kind of like their childhood has
They had
been
to
kind of
mature
like,
for their roles.
because of the war, like they're all of the adults, like their mother died there, which we should also make a counter how many times Katara mentions that. But like also all the adults leave, so like they're forced to like step up, and that their childhood was kind of like ended abruptly, which is kind of sad.
Yeah.
And that moment highlights that pretty quickly. But all right, episode 2, the Avatar returns. Yeah, so I think this starts out with Aang and Zuko. Well, Zuko comes to the water tribe or whatever.
Yep.
And I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense that Aang can defeat these firebenders, these soldiers,
Oh,
because they've
100%.
never fought an airbender
An
because they've been
airbender,
extinct
yeah.
for 100 years.
And Aang points that out too. Like he directly says, he's like, you guys have never even seen an airbender before. You don't know what we
Yeah.
can do.
Also,
So-
Aang just fights very unorthodox. Like he like is running up on the walls and like is just like a fun fighter. So they also probably are not used
at
to
the
that.
same time, Aang is also like he is legitimately a master.
Like a
of air.
master, yeah. That's why he got his
Yeah.
tattoos like pretty young.
Yeah.
Which is just sick. I think he got it because he invented the air scooter, right?
The air sphere, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was gonna say he's a fantastic fighter. Like he
Yeah.
just smokes
Yeah.
everyone. It's kind of
Yeah.
hilarious.
I also really like that Zuko, like when Aang makes that deal to not, he's like, if I go with you, will you leave the water tribe alone? Like Zuko, like I feel like a typical like evil villain, they would just write him like he would agree to that and then actually like attack the village. But I like that Zuko kept his word and like didn't harm these people that didn't need to be harmed. It kind of again shows that like Zuko is just motivated at this one task. He's not like a bad guy totally. He's just kind of like lost his way, you know?
I think that's
Yeah.
a lot of Uncle Iroh's influence on
Yes.
him.
Oh, yeah.
It's been over a year at this point that he's been exiled, right?
Yeah, I think it's been
So-
like
I think
almost
so,
2
yeah.
years or something
yeah.
like that.
Yeah. So it's been a while, and it's just been him
been a
and Uncle
while.
Iroh traveling looking for the airbender, and Iroh's been teaching
Yeah.
him the entire time, kind of maybe subtly influencing him on
Yeah, the art of
I-
persuasion by Uncle Iroh.
But yeah, so I think Iroh is definitely a heavy influence, and you don't even necessarily see that he's a benevolent old man at the very beginning of the series.
Yeah, that
He's-
kind of comes a
he
little
is-
later.
Yeah, he's still not necessarily evil,
Mhm.
and he never participates in any of the fights. I wanna
There's
point that
one
out.
time he does, like he helps shoot that fireball at the end of this episode at Appa when they're flying away. That's the only time
True.
that he directly attacks the gang. But that's it.
Yeah, which is kind of impressive that he kind of just doesn't necessarily like attack, and he certainly knows what he's doing the entire time. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think it's quite impressive.
I think I forget if it's in these first 10 episodes or the next 10 episodes, but like actually let me check when that is. When's the one where he gets captured?
Oh,
Isn't that?
I think that's the next episode.
Six?
that's in the Winter Solstice part 1, I think.
Oh, okay, that does happen here, so I can talk about it. Like when he freaking sees the spirit,
Yeah.
like poof,
Yeah, no, I was gonna say that.
When he
Like,
sees Roku's
shows
dragon.
that there's something going on with Iroh. It's more than
yeah,
meets the eye.
he's a different level.
He's an Autobot. But yeah, so I mean, this episode, we get to see like some creative fighting, and like start learning like about bending and different elements. I think more. I also think we should start ranking the excuses for why Aang loses his staff, because he loses his staff like all the time.
All the time. Yeah.
In this one, they like Zuko takes it to his chamber, and like Aang is imprisoned. I think this is a good excuse personally. Like this is a 9 out of 10 excuse, because like it makes sense that when you capture the Avatar, you're gonna take away his weapon. You know.
I don't even know if Zuko knew that it was a weapon as much as like it was his trophy that
prize,
he was bringing back to his father.
Right. I mean, didn't he see? He saw him fly in with it, right? Did he fly in with it?
Yeah, he
I
did.
don't remember if he flew in with it.
He flew
So
in when
maybe-
he came to defend the Southern Water Tribe. So yeah.
Right. But yeah, I'm giving that excuse a 9 out of 10.
And he
What
was
do you guys
deflecting
give
the
it
fire with it.
for Aang losing his staff?
For the excuse, yeah, no, I agree. That's like a 9 out of 10.
That's pretty solid excuse. Yeah, I concur.
All right, cool. Also, speaking of Zuko's chamber, you can see the blue spirit swords hung up. It's pretty cool.
Is the mask shown?
Foreshadowing.
Or is
I
it
don't
just
know.
the sword?
I don't think the mask was, but the swords were.
I think there might have been like a mask, but I don't think it was the blue spirit mask.
Yeah. I thought I remembered that you can see the mask somewhere prior to that episode, but I don't know if that was true or not. But yeah, you can definitely see the swords, and you see the swords later too when he gets interrogated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, sorry. I'm also I just looked ahead of my notes, but like when Aang goes in the Avatar state, and every time Aang comes out of the Avatar state in like book 1, it's like a diabetic person with like low blood sugar just like passing out.
Like Paul Blart.
yeah, he's like Paul
Hypoglycemia.
Blart.
He's like, when he goes into the Avatar state in this episode for the first time. Oh my gosh, that was
the water. That was pretty epic.
I forgot how good that music was.
Yes.
That first time you hear it, it's like it is something else. And that again, it's just so impressive that they were able to. It melds all together perfectly with the music and the scenery and
the music,
everything.
the animation, the scenery. Also, there's just it was just so impressive, the animation behind this. Like, I think every animation, like cartoonist, like nightmare is like a show that changes scenes every episode. And like is traveling a lot. There's tons of different characters, tons of different scenery. You have to animate water, fire, wind blowing clothes around, and this show has all of that. So like this was a very difficult show technically to animate, which is impressive that they pulled it off.
And the martial arts too.
Yeah.
Like that alone
being able to get all that choreography is
I was gonna say they had a special, like a actual martial arts master come in and show Sifu Kisu.
Yes. You should listen to the Braving the Elephants podcast.
I've listened
to anyone that hasn't. But they bring him on and talk about how he developed those styles. But yeah, sorry, you were saying.
I was gonna say he was coming in, and they sometimes did 3 different sessions for each episode, where he would show them
crazy.
Exactly like what moves that they're supposed to be like trying to animate, and then send videos off to the Korean animators for reference purposes. Yeah,
I don't know if we also mentioned that they had 2 Korean studios that were doing at least in season 1, they had 2 Korean studios that were doing the animation for book 1. They would draw in like Burbank, like here, the like key poses and some of the key characters, and then they would send it off to Korea, and they did a lot of creative collaboration because it's not like a foreign concept, I guess, to have like overseas studios do like the in-betweens for animation, but this one was a lot more. They wanted to do a lot more creative collaboration, especially since it was very Asian influenced. They actually talked to the Korean studio a lot to ask for input and generate ideas collaboratively, more so than just like, here's what you need to do, like use them as kind of like animation monkeys or whatever. It was more of like a creative collaboration for the first time, really, which was really cool. And they actually had a lot of influence. Like, for example, like all the pirates are actually based on Korean animators. In that.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah, they like based, besides the main guy, they like did some special design, but all the other like pirates are based on like animators at like and their friends at the Korean studio.
That's so funny.
And the one guy, like the one that has like the that's like, don't drop the blast jelly, like later or whatever. That was like their really close friend that from the studio that was like their karaoke partner or something like that, they said.
That's so random.
Yeah. But and also I think the Korean studio also like influenced, like the Burbank team was having trouble designing like Jet and his crew, so they asked the Korean team to do that, and so they designed the like Jet and his kind of like posse. That's where those designs came from, and they were a little more stylized, which they liked.
That's cool.
That's really awesome. Is this?
Yeah.
I don't know. You tell me when a good time to talk about the different animation of the different bending styles, because I think
let's do it.
Yeah.
That's an important point to make, is the fact that the different bending styles are based on all four different
Asian martial arts styles.
Yeah, Chinese martial arts. And
yeah, let's do it.
So not only are they animating martial arts in general, which is complicated and difficult, they're doing four different styles each.
And water and fire are just flying around at the same time.
Like, the actual technical skill is phenomenal. But yeah, so airbending is bagua. I think it's loosely based on bagua, which is a very flowing, spiraling, moving around constantly type of style.
It utilizes light circle walking techniques. Yeah. Bender shifts and rotates their center to counteract resistance and attack. Sorry, I also did some research on this exact thing. Yep. I'm so happy that you also have this.
No, so that's, the creators aren't super happy with how it turned out in the first in Avatar itself, in the last Airbender, because it was just so technical and difficult for animation.
But they improved upon it with Korra when she's doing like the circle door training thing.
And in season 1 of Korra, they were very happy that they were able to kind of improve on it. And there were some good instances. Good. You could see it happening every once in a while in Avatar.
Yeah.
But, Korra, it definitely, you could tell it's improved.
Yeah. Waterbending was Tai Chi, right?
Yeah. Tai Chi, which makes a lot of sense.
It's like more fluid and the adaptability. Yeah, I think that's
push and pull of
pushing. Yeah, yin and yang.
Yep, all that. That's a lot more of like the second half of this season kind of goes into that a little bit more. But
I know firebending was based on the northern. I don't know how to say that. Shaolin, I think.
Shaolin. Yeah.
Which apparently that was the easiest one to animate. Well, the actual martial part was the easiest.
I think it's like more direct attacks.
Yeah, it's more direct and
it's
more
like
it's bigger,
very big motions, because a lot of like Tai Chi and is like subtle movements, and that's very difficult to like get across in animation. So like the big attacks of the Fire Nation. This is me firebending was really
also
good.
Well, there's a lot of animation in this first season. It felt like it was on twos. No, so my point is, with it being on twos, you can get more of that impact because you're covering more distance in that time. So
I think the same goes.
I feel like that also helps.
Yeah, the same goes for earthbending when we eventually get to that.
It's Hungar, right?
Yep.
Because that's more like you need to be rooted and have like powerful stances.
That's big, powerful motion. All of them though, it's all very grounded and personal. Yeah. And it's not like it's magic per se. It's very, it feels like it's a martial art in every instance, which is very cool. That it's centered on the person. It's not like some Harry Potter wave your wand,
Right. Which I think
or force.
I think the I think
force
the
lightsaber kind of thing.
the like what was his name, like the guy, the martial arts
Kisu.
guy, that Kisu.
I think it was Kisu.
Okay. Kisu, like I think I think the creator like went around to a bunch of different martial arts classes and then like found this guy, and when they talked about like the philosophies, he understood like he might be a good guy to bring on board for this project. So after like months, they talked about developing like martial arts style, and I think the original creators only wanted to do like one style, but Kitsu, I'm so sorry I'm butchering that. I'm just gonna call him the sensei master. I don't know, but he suggested doing like a different style for each element, and then also kind of and once they made that decision, like a lot of things clicked, and that like helped them establish different cultural identities for each nation, because it was based a lot on this core martial arts form, which I think is just so sick.
And it does make a lot of sense from like a world building perspective, that different elements would have different styles coming out of
identities and styles,
and philosophies. Yeah.
Yep,
it's so sick. And we get into the philosophy a little later, like I think in season 1, where we get to like the deserter and stuff, but
that's a great episode.
Yeah, we still haven't ranked episode 2. So let's get back to the tank with that. What are you giving episode 2 out of 10?
I would say 8. I think it is getting up there to, some of the top episodes, especially in season 1. I think it's just it is so impressive what they do, and this particular episode, I think the music hits really hard.
Yeah,
the fighting music
helps a lot
between Zuko and Aang.
Zuko also just like jumping off of his ship to like tackle Aang midair. I was like, the ball is on him.
He's in a madman.
Yeah, Dana, what do you give it?
I also agree with the 8. I love seeing the.
You guys need to write your answers down so you don't have the same answer each time. You need to say the same time from now on.
I think Daniel needs to go first next time.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go first next time.
I actually have this one a bit lower. I had this one at a 6.8.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, I like this episode better than the last one, but it's also still a lot of setup, and it's also kind of, just looking at this episode, it's a bit not incomplete, but like the first half was in the last episode, so it's still not like that full picture of an episode. I think it's better than the last episode, but I don't know. I think there are a lot better episodes. So I think part of this is also I want to save room for those like elite episodes that are coming up.
That's very fair. Something that really struck me at the end of this episode was like the nice calm, like after they had won the fight, escaped. It was like a nice calm, soothing, you're like, they're flying away on Appa type of thing. Also, just I want to point out getting Appa to fly initially when Sokka was like, wahoo.
Wahoo.
Yip, yip.
Yip. That's my second favorite reading of Yip Yip. The first is, I guess we'll get to it next week, but when he's taking Yue on on Appa, he goes yip. Yip. And then goes. That's my favorite reading of Yip Yip.
Yeah, you can't beat that one.
Yeah.
But that was a little side tangent. Like the music at the end, when it's like super calm, it's nice. You're like, it's a nice ending to this great episode where they won their little fight. And then it immediately turns. Yeah, exactly. And then it switches on a dime to Aang just being super excited of like, we need to go here. Here. Do all these different things, and it's like
they handle the tone shifts very well.
Yeah.
With it being a kid's show, but also having those impactful moments.
Yeah, it's just like it went from that, and it went back to the fun kid show, and it's an adventure that they're going on. It's not just like we need to save the world immediately. They're just going on an adventure as a couple kids.
That's a good point. I think that's part of the reason I also maybe look now like don't like book 1 as much, maybe because like it takes them like I think like 10 episodes until we learn like the main quest. Like we know with the idea that he has to save the world, but it's not till he talks to Roku that we learn that like oh
the
no,
comics
there's like a
coming
deadline, and like then
Yeah.
like shit hits the fan, it gets serious kind of thing, and that's when I'm like, all right, well, I'm in, like I'm kicked in. I feel like this beginning part is more just like the fun kids show. They're going from like adventure to adventure, which again I don't mind, but I think when there's that purpose, I'm kind of like more locked in, which is maybe why I'm more inclined to like season 2 and 3, because I'm like, this is approaching, and the anticipation. Maybe that's why I like season 2 more, is because the anticipation is better than the build off, the payoff.
Yeah.
a
No,
lot
I
of the
get
time.
that, but I feel like this is still necessary for the character. Like if he just jumped right into
Yeah.
being like, okay, like it doesn't fit.
No,
Like,
I
he needed
totally
to go
agree.
have-
He needed, like I said at the beginning,
Yeah.
like he needs this build up, and he needs to ease into that responsibility, even if it's not really easing. As we'll get into the next episode, we learn about his people's genocide.
Yeah.
Like,
Episode 3.
yeah, let's get
Genocide.
to episode 3. We also learned about Zhao here, which I really like Zhao
Yeah.
as a character. He's voiced by Jason Isaacs, which I didn't know. He's the Lucius Malfoy, and also voiced the Grand Inquisitor in Rebels.
Oh, Admiral Zhao. You just said Zhao, and I was like, who?
Oh yeah, well he's Captain Zhao, I think,
Captain
right?
Zhao.
Or
I don't
know.
Commander,
He's Commander
Commander
now.
Zhao.
Yeah.
Whatever he's in. Yeah, sorry. He originally says Captain Zhao. He's like, now I'm a commander.
He gets promoted so fast by the way.
Yeah.
I just want to put
He's
that
kind of
one.
like Hamilton. He's gonna rise up. I don't know if you guys have seen Hamilton, but
He's the evil Hamilton.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
It also makes sense. I think it's interesting that Jason Isaacs voiced Zhao, Commander Zhao here, because and then like it makes sense that he would later voice the Grand Inquisitor in Rebels, because Filoni worked on both. So I think that's
Yeah.
kind of cool. He's bringing over those similar people. They also, the Avatar people, like designed Zhao based on, they were like, we need to get an actor that's similar to Jason Isaacs, like a Jason Isaacs type. And like one of their production managers was like, let's just reach out to Jason Isaacs. And they're like, oh, we can do that.
oh, that's funny.
But yeah. Anyways, but besides that, then in Aang's storyline, we see the genocide of his people, which is just like some heavy stuff for a kid
sad,
show, man.
Yeah.
Season 3.
Yeah.
Or episode 3, sorry.
Yeah,
Season
episode
1.
Yeah.
3.
But yeah, dude, and like the denial you see he's going through first, like you don't understand. Like the only way to get up to this air temple is if you're like an airbender because of how high it is and all that. But you're just like, buddy, oh,
That's
pal.
rough, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he sees Monkey Yatsu
Yeah.
sitting, it's actually so impressive. Like if you think about it, there are no, if you take note, there's no burn marks on Monkey Yatsu.
Yeah.
Theoretically, what I think people have theorized as what happened was Monkey Yatsu basically just took out all of the air from that
Air in the room?
in that area that he was in,
Oh.
and just suffocated everyone, including
I never
himself.
thought about it like that.
So you
That's
so
badass.
freaking-
you can't firebend if there's no air.
Yeah, there's
So
no oxygen for fire to burn. Oh my
no one
gosh.
could touch him, and he just suffocated everyone around, and he's just sitting there.
That's bonkers.
That's
He's-
like the extreme version of like in Korra when she
Exactly.
takes the air out. That's like that times 20.
that's why he's the master. So
yeah.
and also if you think about it, it's kind of a great thing that the monks are pacifists and they don't want to
Yeah, because they could
they are
easily
so
have taken over the
overpowered.
world. Maybe that's interesting. Maybe that was a legit strategy why that Fire Lord, I forget his name, started with the air nomads, because he knew they were the biggest threat.
Well, I think that was
Maybe.
mostly because the Avatar was going to be a airbender.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was gonna be an airbender.
That's
Yeah.
the primary
True.
reason, but I mean, it's not a bad
That's
side.
like also kind of a dumb reason, because then if they just kill the Avatar as a child, or I guess they were gonna try to capture the Avatar and like raise him to be their own. But if they accidentally killed him, then they would have just been reborn as like a water tribe person in a
Yeah.
second. But yeah, I guess they were trying to capture him and like raise them to be their own like evil Avatar. It's like Scott Pilgrim, like the Nega Scott, whatever the heck.
Yeah.
It's like the Nega Avatar.
Jake, what you just made me think of?
I mean, they could also just not let him out, just imprison him.
Yeah.
was that
What,
Family Guy
Daniel?
bit where Death dies? He's like, "Yep, super Death. So you gotta be reincarnated." So then
Oh,
Death
yeah.
is reincarnated, where then dies again. It's like, what was it, like Chinese baby? Like, oh, no, God.
He was like,
Yeah,
yeah, I would
you're
be, you'd be
brought
reborn
back
as a Chinese baby.
China. Yeah.
And then he
And they're
comes
like,
back. He's like, girl. Yeah.
I have no idea what that reference is. So I'm
No,
just
all right,
completely lost.
Okay,
We'll
Logan.
send it to you later, Logan.
No, no,
Okay.
let's
It's a
explain
funny
it so
bit.
anyone in the podcast can also follow along. So, Logan, there's a bit in Family
Yeah.
Guy where like Death, like the Grim Reaper, like gets into a car
Uh-huh.
accident and he like dies, and so another bigger Death comes in and is like,
Super
"You're dead,
Death.
buddy," and he's like, "What? I'm Death," and he's like, "I'm Super Death, man," and then Super Death's like, or Little Death, like regular Death's like, "What's gonna happen to me?" And Super Death's like, "You get reincarnated," and he's like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yeah, as we speak, you're gonna be reincarnated as a Chinese baby," and then he like disappears, like Death like gets reincarnated, and then like a second later he comes back. And both that like Super Death's like girl and the Death's like girl, and so like the implication there.
Oh my goodness. Holy shit.
Yeah,
What did that have to do with anything again?
I think Daniel just likes making bad references. No, I think he was
I was
saying
like,
like
what?
if you just kill
Like, if you kill the avatar.
those
Oh,
pop
yeah,
up
yeah,
again.
okay.
Somewhere else.
The reincarnate.
But yeah.
Yeah, he would have been reincarnated. Have you heard the theory that it was it was
Grand.
no, who's the moon spirit? I can't remember her name.
Yue?
Yeah. Yue was
Yeah.
like fated to be the next avatar, which is why when she was born, she was
Oh, she didn't
effectively
have
born
like,
without the
oh.
spirit that she was meant to be born with.
Which like
Oh.
Rava or whatever, Raya, whatever the heck.
Rava.
The
Yep.
avatars, Rava. Yeah,
Rava. Yeah.
And then so she, I don't know, took a little bit of the moon spirit, I guess.
Nice.
That's
And
really
that's what kept
interesting
her
to
up.
think about.
That's I don't know if that's
Interesting.
confirmed or not, but that's like a fan theory. I think that she was like fated to be the next in line.
Because she would have been born around the time that Aang would have died if Aang would have survived for like 80, 90 years, something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So she's
Interesting.
yeah.
That's crazy, dog.
Most avatars are pretty old when they die, so it would have lined up.
Yeah. Well, most.
Yeah. Some are not. There's definitely plenty that died young. I think the last waterbending.
One after Kyoshi, wasn't that one
The one
like
before
Ryuk or whatever?
the one before Kyoshi, Karuk, I
Is
think.
he like 20s? Karuk. Yeah, was he like 20s or something like that? Because
20s
he's
or
trying to
something.
fix all the spirit BS.
Oh,
Roku
that's
was
rough.
the one after Kyoshi.
yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Idiot.
Cycle, yeah.
Daniel.
And
I'm just kidding.
Kyoshi
You
lived
didn't
to
even
like
know the name of this guy.
Kyoshi lived to like 200 something.
Yeah, she said, "Death can have me when it earns me, boy."
Yeah.
She-
I am become death.
She's badass. Anyways, yeah.
Kyoshi could do some stuff to me. What? All right. This
Rock my
episode,
world any day.
we also meet Momo. We also meet Momo for the first time. Momo almost
yeah.
didn't make the cut apparently because they thought it would be a stretch that both Appa and Momo got caught in Aang's iceberg. So then they restructured it so that Momo is actually just like
At the air temple.
Yeah, at the air temple, kind of as like a symbol of hope for Aang that there's still some life left over from his past.
Yeah.
That's good. I'm glad we have Momo. We'd
Yeah.
be much sadder without Momo.
Yeah. I want to ask, are you team Momo or team Appa? Like who's your favorite?
Oh, I'm Team Appa. For
Same.
sure. But like
Daniel, all of Avatar can't happen without Appa.
That's true. My mom's nickname used to be Momo.
Oh.
Um,
Have you seen those like memes where it's like Avatar: Last Airbender? It's like a book, and then it's like the smaller book, like Avatar: Last Airbender if Momo had a gun.
it's over in
Pal
one
World,
episode.
anyone?
Yeah, no, it's the first two episodes are the same, and then we meet him in episode 3. He just goes directly to the Fire Lord.
Oh my god. Yeah, that'd be honestly. Yeah, I mean, he could fly.
Yeah, he just flies.
So he just goes right to the Fire Lord and says, "Yeah, I'll show you some firebending."
He's
Yeah.
I think Momo is great, and I don't think he does anything for the story for the most part. Like
No, sometimes he
That
does.
one-
Like he.
Yeah, he
What
gets
is
a cut
Omashu,
sometimes.
he tried to sneak out, and he also tried to get water for
Oh,
Katara
yeah,
when
I
they
was
were
gonna
sick
say
in the storm.
he just like didn't ever get the water, and
Yeah,
he's like great comic relief though.
When they were in that.
yeah, he
Oh yeah,
is.
100%. But when they were in that refurbished prison cell, did
Yeah.
they just leave him in the hole? Was he like not able to get out?
Yeah, you don't see him for the rest of the episode.
That's a good point. Do you mean the newly refurbished
The newly
cell?
refurbished cell that used to be bad.
It's also sick that like they don't have doors for it. Like they just have walls that they earthbend
just
down.
rock.
Like that makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah. That
It's a good prison.
Yeah, it makes sense that because if you don't have an earthbender,
You
like
can't. Yeah.
and that's a pretty big risk. I guess they knew that Aang didn't know earthbending, but he's the Avatar, so like he could have had the ability to escape if he knew earthbending.
Yeah, but
I know Boomy knew.
Yeah.
Boomy knew. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, episode 3. We also get the Agni Kai this episode, the first Agni Kai, so that kind of establishes what that is. And I love, like, I think someone pointed out, like, dissected the fight that, like, it's not shot the best way. Like, it could have been shot better. Like, it's a little confusing. They reuse a lot of the same animation. But I personally really like this fight. Just, like, the color scheme also, like, the oranges and reds kind of saturating the whole environment is beautiful.
And the music, again, I gotta call out the music every time, basically. Every time there's a fight with Zuko in it, the music just gets you going.
Yeah.
Just that one horn that goes up, it's like, wah, and then it hits.
Wow,
on
I got the
that one.
same goosebumps just then. And I got
I'm just saying, like, when things flip, and he's like, wah, wah, wah. And it's like, oh, it's just so good.
Yep, goosebumps.
Daniel, stick to your your little instrument over there.
Sorry, I can bounce it out with this if we need to. But
what do you guys rank this episode?
I'm gonna say 9.
Out of all Avatar episodes?
Oh, I thought we were just doing it out of this book.
I'm doing like out of Avatar episodes, but you can do this book.
Out of this book, I'd say 9. Out of all of them, I'd probably say an 8.5 to 8.2.
I'm gonna give you an 8.3 then. Kind of split the difference.
I would say dead on 5. I think.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
The reason why I'm ranking this one so high is because this is the beginning of where, one, we're able to understand more of the Avatar cycle a little bit.
That's
we're
true.
able to get into like what actually happened to the other airbenders and seeing the leftovers of the genocide that happened. And really, it's a big twist to where we're able to see like Aang start to transition to say like, hey, like the world is not how it was when I left it. And this is the beginning of me realizing like I got to change. So,
Yeah. Logan, why do you say 5?
I mean, I agree with all those points. It's like it is doing a lot for the world building, like you said, but I don't even think the execution's bad. I just don't think it's able to be ranked super highly when there's so many other great episodes that could be higher. And the first 2 episodes, I have a hard time like truly being objective when ranking them, just because they are the first 2 and they're getting everything started. But I think at this point, I'm gonna be objective. It's not the greatest thing ever, but it's definitely not bad either. It's to me, it's right in the middle. It's, as Avatar goes, it's an average episode, which compared to any other episode of any other series, it's got to be like a 8 or 9 out of 10. It's going to be phenomenal, but with respect to the rest of the Avatar verse, not quite there. Or it's just it's average.
I agree with a lot of your points, and I think I was just hype listening to this episode, but I ranked this one a 7. Like, I think I like this one slightly better than the first 2 because it feels like it's kind of finally getting to the groove, and this feels like the first, like, of the more, not that there's a formula, but like the like formula of like, okay, now the gang are together, they're going on adventures. Like, this is the first adventure after like the setup and the pilot, really. So I kind of like that. We get introduced to Momo and Daniel's point. So I do agree that it's not the strongest Avatar episode, but I really like this one. All right. Next is Warriors of Kyoshi. I never really realized how early on in the quest they go to Kyoshi Island until I was rewatching it.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, that's pretty soon. What do you guys think of this episode, just overall?
This it's like a fun episode, partly because of all the like antics that Aang's trying to get into with showing off to all the girls on the island and stuff like that. But also it's fun meeting. Obviously, it's fun meeting Suki.
Suki. I mean, you named your cat after Suki. So.
I do. Yeah. Our cat's name is Suki, and our little boy cat is named Kai, who is a Korra character.
In Korra, yeah.
And he's like Kai, that he's a little piece of something. But at least when he was younger. So, but yeah, Suki, amazing character, and I am glad that she's introduced so quickly. But it's kind of sad that we only see her for one episode.
Yeah.
Early on in this season, until next time we see her is in season.
I think
2?
it's book 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think when they're
Yeah.
going to Bossing Say, she like runs into them at the like boat transfer immigration office, whatever
Immigration,
it was. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was after this episode the Kyoshi Warriors decided that they want to go join and fight in the war, whereas previously they had stayed home and they're like, we're not going to take part.
That's also something that's very cool about this show is like it shows that like not only are all these people that Aang and like the crew are coming across, they're influencing them and helping them on their journey, but they're also influencing the people they're coming across a lot of the time for the better. In my opinion, like I mean, whether you want to stay in or out of
burning
war.
houses and like all the destruction and stuff, but
And Cabbage Man,
And Cabbage Man,
yeah, Cabbage Man,
He's
he's got some beef.
rough.
Ironically, he has beef.
I think one of my favorite. This is like way far in advance, but when they all get together before the Day of Black Sun, and you see like all the different groups of people that they've affected and like become friends with, it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Looking back,
I thought you were gonna say all the different cabbages that they've destroyed.
That'd be funny.
Cabbage Man has been counting
yeah.
every single one.
Yeah.
We need a Cabbage Man counter starting next episode, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also this episode, there's like that famous, or not, I don't know if it's famous, but there's that Easter egg. There's like a guy in the background like having an argument with a pole, because I don't think they didn't animate like a second person in there, so he's like having like a really heated like discussion. Like at one point, like it's when Aang and Katara are like talking at the like fruit stand, like when the shot is on Aang, like there's a guy in the background who's like having like a very lively discussion, and then it cuts back to the Katara, and when it cuts back to Aang, the guy was arguing with this pole is just sitting on the ground with his like head in his hands, and he's like depressed all of a sudden. It's like, what was going on back there? It's really funny.
Never noticed that.
You should check it out. It's so funny.
I should, yeah. I love the dude that when they first arrive and he says he's the Avatar, the guy that's like freaking out. He's like, what?
Yeah.
That's me watching any Avatar episode.
Yeah.
Also, hold on. Because Aang was a Southern Air Temple monk,
Yeah.
would that make Katara the first woman he's ever seen?
Possibly.
In theory.
Could the air nomads? There were
had
female air nomads.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they would
but they
go extinct.
Well, no, I thought
very
they had
quickly.
like this thing where they had this thing where you had to like separate the genders at an early age and all that. Hence why you had the girls and their other ones and the dudes all at the southern one, whatever not.
What?
I thought that was an
know.
actual thing.
I don't
know.
recall, but that sounds correct because they don't have any like in all the flashbacks. It's always a bunch of boys, but I don't know if that's just because Aang's hanging out with the young
dudes,
lads,
the
and
guys.
Then they have like all the old monks that are like crotchety old dudes.
Yeah, and then there's the other Yang Chen.
Avatar Yang Chen
The
is the
other
last Airbender. Yeah.
Yeah, because I thought she was from the Western. I could be completely wrong on
I
that.
don't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, that wouldn't surprise me though. Like that philosophy, it wouldn't be that surprising.
Yeah.
So my point is, I'm not surprised my boy Aang here
has
the
a
second
crush
he
on
gets
Katara.
a whole gaggle of girls on him. He's just like,
oh, that he's like infatuated by that. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
I like the first question that he asks. Potentially the first female he's ever interacted with was, "Would you like to go penguin sledding with me?"
immaculate Riz,
He's like,
as the kids say.
and she's like, yeah, sure. Like, how you gonna say no to that?
I'm gonna try that pickup line at the bar and see if it works. She says yes, she's the one. But anyways, we also get the Sokka kind of getting the, like we alluded to earlier, like the misogynist beat out of him, which I really like.
Yeah.
And also Aang riding like the elephant koi or whatever fish.
The Nagi?
And well, the elephant koi is what he first rides. Then he rides the Nagi salmon skin roll. It's a Friends reference for you guys. Anyways, then I really like also when what's his face Zuko does arrive, like the color palette like changes, like kind of like it's like it's warmer in tone, but like everything's still a little less saturated and like kind of uniform. Like a muted warm overtone. It's pretty interesting, the tonal change.
You know how you mentioned in the first episode where Zuko didn't like destroy as soon as Aang gave himself up? He was like,
Yeah,
pretty. That exactly did not happen in this episode.
that's true.
He was just like,
maybe he was like, I can't make that mistake again.
that's
Like,
kind of
I don't
fair,
know.
yeah. He's probably
Yeah.
learned his lesson, but he instantly just starts burning everyone's house down.
Yeah.
It's like, jeez, dude.
F you and F you. Give me the
You
ball.
lose
kid.
a house. You lose a house. I like this episode a lot. What do you guys rank this one? Let's get your ideas in your head, and then Daniel goes first. I have mine already.
Okay,
Okay, Daniel.
good. I'm at an 8.9 to 9.2.
Oh man, I'm gonna give you a 9.0
One?
or 1. What do you want, Daniel?
Let's do an even 0.
All right, Logan.
I would say 8.5. I think. I was gonna be like a little higher, but I think it's still like they're still learning their form.
Agreed.
And stuff like that.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
learning their formula, and also like I like the bit where Aang is just kind of like running around with all the girls gets a little like repetitive, and
Yeah.
again, which is fine, and it serves the
But
purpose of
what
this
about
episode.
this? He does the hand thing, with the beads.
That one is really. Oh my god!
Yeah.
Do you remember looking back and seeing him do that for the fishmonger in Korra, like the
yeah.
picture of that? Oh, sorry, that was long from now, but definitely a good tangent right there.
Yeah.
I said 7.75 for this one. Again, this is my highest ranked episode so far, but I'm still like saving room because I know like I feel like it gets better, but I still like this one a lot. So far, the best out of all 4.
Maybe I ranked my last one too high. Not gonna lie.
Okay.
I feel like by the end of this, I'm gonna be running out of room. I think Jake's being smart about like where he's.
Well, I
putting
thought
these
it
things.
out. Yeah, I like did this all
Yeah.
beforehand, and then I like compared them all, and I like did some adjustments to some because I was like, no, I actually like this episode more than this one. So like I've strategically done this. You guys are like on a whim, so like if you need to adjust it, like we can.
Yeah. I just like Avatar.
I think-
it's all good.
They're all
Oh.
12s out of 10.
I think the truly like S tier ones, I'm gonna be like, yeah, this is like 11, 12 out of 10.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna
Yeah.
gonna be breaking the scale. Some of these are just so damn good that you can't
Yeah, agreed.
even rank
All right.
You can't bind it to a numeric.
Infinity.
A simple human number. Infinity. Next is the King of Omashu. Another
Yes.
banger episode. I like this episode a lot personally. Like I like all the like challenges that he goes through. I like the twist at the end. I didn't see it coming. I remember when I was a kid for the first time that like he's boomy. I was like, that's pretty cool. Also, our first introduction into the Earth Kingdom. And we're like, well, I think isn't Kyoshi like it's kind of like its own thing. So like this is really I feel like the first kind of introduction to the Earth Kingdom, where like they're earthbending a lot, and I like how they like show the culture of that and like show how like the infrastructure's been built up using earth bending as like a core component of it, like with all the chutes and stuff and like bending mail around and stuff. Like I think that's really cool, and how the society would be built around that. And the Cabbage Man also. This is
Number one.
Although I will say the way that they were shipping those spears was just not smart at all. Like whether or not like they were in the other cart, sure, but like what if that's somebody else's package and it just gets pierced by spears? Like
Yeah. What if it's what would be like the worst thing? Like what if the package in front of it was shipping like balloons or something like that?
Gallons of milk just like
Yeah.
spilled
Oh,
all
no.
over the place. Nasty. I want to point out at the very beginning of this episode, Katara, such a G, right? What's his Aang
Oh,
starts out
the
the
Mr.
episode.
Pitzel Padalaka
He's
whatever. This
yes, he says it perfectly.
Yeah.
Something Pips and Patalopsicopoulos the third, and then he's like, "Hi, I'm June Pips and Patalopsicopoulos." Like,
Yeah.
so calm, absolutely
that's
nails it.
sick.
She just went right with it, and she's not like, "You idiot!" Like, why would you say something like that?
Yeah.
And then
I do like that Katara has little bits of that, like, yeah, she can have fun. And
she's
Yeah.
still a kid, like she
Yeah.
is. You do see that sometimes, even though I think she grows up the fastest, really.
agreed.
Oh yeah.
Like she becomes kind of the leader, and a little bit depending on how you want to look at it, but she becomes kind of like a leader in the group, even more than Sokka sometimes. So, but yeah, she can still have some fun and enjoy life.
Yeah.
B. June
Oh, yeah.
Hexapaddleopsicopoulos.
Do you have it written down, or do you just remember it?
Oh, I got that one a lock.
Wow, that's impressive.
I'm never forgetting that one.
That's
Should get
me
that
like with
tattooed.
Smitty Werber Jagerman Jensen, dude. It's like you just gotta know it. Yeah.
What's that from?
SpongeBob.
Oh, I thought
He
so,
was
but I
number
wasn't sure.
one.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if it was from like Leif Erikson Vikings or whatever.
No, that's Hang a Dinger Dinger.
Oh, that's my excuse me. I also like knowing the twist now that Boomy like meets like knows Aang. I like looking back, you can kind of see like that he's testing him when he's kind of figuring it out in the beginning, like when he like checks if he's still a vegetarian, and then he like throws the meat like that's an obvious one to like test his airbending, but I like that he's like checking him out.
I think he recognized it like instantly too.
Yeah.
Like, he knows for sure.
That'd be crazy though. Like imagine you're like on your deathbed, and then like, or just like pretty old, and then like a childhood friend you haven't seen in so long walks in looking the exact same. Like that would throw me for a loop. I feel like
I'd be like, am I off my meds? Oh no.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then Aang loses his staff again. We should rank the excuse. This one is because he's not allowed to use it during the first two challenges. I think it's a pretty good excuse because Boomy's crafting these challenges, you know?
I mean, I don't think it was terribly useful in the first two challenges either.
I think he could have maybe used it with
the key,
but the second one with Flopsy, probably not.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if he like flew up and away, and he's like, "Oh wait, you're actually Flopsy. Hello." Like that would have been really it. But
yeah.
So I'm giving this an 8 out of 10 excuse. This is a good one.
I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't talk about the him losing his staff in the Kyoshi episode.
When did he lose it again?
He lost it in the fight with Zuko, and then he picks up the fans, the Kyoshi
Oh,
fans.
yeah.
Which is a badass moment, by the way.
I'm gonna give that one a little
sick.
leeway because it's cool that he was able to then use the fans and stuff.
The fans.
To incorporate his airbending.
I don't know if that's like
why he loses it.
been done before, because they're not normal for airbender. That's not like a normal airbender thing. It's a earthbending / I think technically the fans are Tai Chi in
Interesting.
actual martial arts, but like it was an earthbending thing, and he just improvised. He's like, oh, fans, that would be something that an airbender could use.
Yeah. Blows wind like me.
Yeah. But yeah, though that
cool.
one was also pretty cool. I don't know. I think he just lost his staff because he's an idiot that time.
I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10 because it sucks that he just lost it like being an idiot, but it's cool that he then used the fans.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
But I would agree with the 8 in Omashu.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we get the waterfall challenge, the taming Flopsy, and then fighting Boomy. I remember the reveal that Boomy was jacked, like blew my like 11-year-old mind. Like
his back like cracking out.
Yeah.
Was just like, oh, what the heck?
I am the greatest earthbender you will ever see. Just wait a season.
Yeah, wait a season. And then he does get his staff back during this fight, but then he loses it like 10 seconds after the battle starts. And I think that one was a 2 out of 10 because I think he just drops the staff.
Well, I actually want to ask you guys something. He doesn't say greatest. He says what, most powerful.
Maybe. Yeah, I think that's the case. Yeah.
So that does bring up a good argument, which we could talk about when we get to next season. But like, who do you guys think would be?
Who would win, Boomy versus Toph?
Well, it's not even just that. It's just like who's more powerful versus who is more.
I'm changing it. Boomy or Toph, who would win?
Okay.
Boomy or Toph, who would win?
I'm a Toph fan.
I think it's still Toph.
I think Boomy would win.
Really?
Really out of experience.
I think Boomy Prime would have. I think now
he's in his prime, guaranteed. He's 112 in his prime.
Dude, he's 112, and dude, you saw the way he fell back into that solid ground.
That was sick. That was so sick when the battle's over and he just like goes to the ground and comes back up like that.
He's like, I'm done.
But all right, we're talking about Toph pre or post metal bending because that is a whole other.
I don't think it matters.
I'm gonna say real. Oh, hold on.
I think pre Boomy would potentially win. Post Toph clears.
And Logan, you're saying
is metal like widely
Boomy...
available in like an arena or something like that? Because usually in the
well, yeah, it depends on also the battleground.
If it's in the earthbending arena,
yeah, say they're both on the blimp. Who would win?
I'm thinking in the underground arena from when we first meet Toph.
Yeah,
if they're both fighting in that arena, there's not really metal around. That's how I'm imagining it, and I think Boomy wins just because he's so experienced.
I think
like,
Toph might win.
I think Toph wins because she does the one thing that Boomy points out that would be the thing that he doesn't necessarily like. He does it, but like
What?
that Aang needs to find somebody that waits and listens.
the neutral Jin.
Yeah,
I think Boomy understands
feel the
all
rock.
three of them. I think Toph is like the most gifted Earthbender, like quote unquote naturally gifted or whatever. But Boomy has the experience. That's
Boomy does have
he's
the experience
he's got
over
100
Toph.
years of experience.
But Toph has different experience because she's relied on earthbending for like
everything.
sight.
True.
Like I think that is different experience that forces you to become strong. Like it's like for an analogy, like if you like there can be a super strong guy that has a ton of experience lifting, but if I lose my legs and I'm forced to walk on my hands, my arms are going to be jacked very like a lot quicker than the other person, I guess, I don't know. That's a weird analogy.
I was gonna compare it like again like a muscle bro versus like a fighter, right? So it might not have as much. It might be like a medium build or something like that, but in that situation, he has the expertise to say like, "Hey, I have my experience here because I know how to engage the situation."
I would
that's where I
want to
feel like
see that battle, Boomy versus
That would
Toph.
be crazy.
I think you're right that Boomy would have, like, I think Toph is a little hot-headed, so that she might slip up for that reason, get impatient. I think Boomy could outlast her that way and be experienced. But I think Toph is really good too. I don't know.
They're both
I don't know.
insane.
That's interesting. Anyway, we've been talking a while. We gotta keep it moving.
Yeah,
So what do we rank this episode out of 10?
Out of 10, what did I rank the last one? 8.5.
Yes.
I think so. Yeah.
I'll give this one an 8. I think it's just behind the last episode, but pretty close.
I concur with that.
You bro saying 8. Of course, Daniel goes second. Agrees with Logan.
No, because the reason I'm saying that is because what was the one I said, the Southern Air Temple? I said that was 8.5.
You said 8.3.
I'm bringing that down to like a 7.3.
Oh,
I'll say
jeez.
that.
Okay.
Oh,
Change it up on me. All right. I actually said Omashu was an 8. I said it's slightly above. No, I had mine written down 4 days ago, Daniel. I say Omashu's an 8, and I think it's slightly ahead of the Kyoshi episode, in my opinion. I really like the sliding and like with the creative earthbending. We finally see like an earthbending master fight Aang.
Yeah.
Like that is
true.
cool. The tension of like you don't know if Katara and Sokka are gonna be like eaten by crystals. I really like this episode.
And it just turns out to be
it
rock
is a
candy.
really good episode.
Yeah. The next episode, not my favorite. Imprisoned. This is the one where Katara gets purposely captured and goes to that like oil rig to save those earthbenders. I think Katara brings up her mother again. This is like the third time in 6 episodes. So that's like once every 2 episodes. It's the average, I think. But there are some heavy themes with this episode though that they talk about, like with like being imprisoned and like losing your faith and your identity with your culture, this people being oppressed. I also this brings up a question because the way they get Katara into the Earth Kingdom is they fake earthbend and they think it's Momo, but then it's like Katara's earthbending by shooting that gust of wind into the vent. And I've kind of seen some debate around this. Do you think that airbending is visible to the inhabitants of the Avatar world, or is it that it's just an effect drawn for the audience to visualize it? Because I've seen some debate. What?
I'm pretty sure it's confirmed that it's from the creators that it's only visible to the audience / earthbenders, or sorry, airbenders.
Oh,
like airbenders experience like we see it, I think, as how they explained it.
Interesting.
And then we see it through their eyes because we have to be able to see it.
Right.
But literally this episode debunks that.
What? How?
Prison, Aang's doing the cannon thing. He's like, guys, give me some coal. They just know exactly where to put the coal.
Oh. Well, maybe he got some dirt in that so they could see it.
But no,
that's
I think
a good
that's
point.
My point. Is like think of like a tornado or something like that. Like
that's a great point. I forgot about that.
When you have like a tornado, it's like the huge turbulence of the wind plus whatever dust particles and stuff like that. So that's why I'm saying it depends. It
depends on
if
like
it's a powerful enough
debris.
Force.
So that would say that the air is still
not
visible. It's the debris around it that's visible then.
Well, it's the
They kick
turbulence
up.
and the force of it, I think, and
Which makes sense.
whatever dust and debris.
Yeah, all the
so,
coal dust that's lying around.
Yeah, coal dust and
Interesting.
how fast that is for how small of a radius it is, right?
Sure.
If we're getting like the actual force of it.
I wonder how they're
So-
doing the live action show.
That is a great. I am very curious to see how they do that.
Yeah.
The one thing that I think kind of emphasizes the not everyone can see it though. Not only like the pretend earthbending in this case, but in the episode where we meet Toph, where Aang blasts her out of the ring, and no one saw airbending
Right.
happen. They just assumed that it was earthbending.
Right. And
so-
then that's why that sets up the premise that the like ring, like the leader, the whoever runs the ring is like they were in cahoots. Like, you didn't see anything. Like she just
took a
threw herself
dive.
off. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, so it's.
Interesting.
I think Daniel, you're exactly right. Where it's like
The
in
debris
general-
and kick up.
in general, you're not going to see it, but if it's something like it has like a tornado effect where there's dust and stuff, you can see,
Yeah.
or like steam.
Maybe
I
they can
guess.
choose when it's visible
Yeah.
or not.
Yeah, temperature would also make a big effect to it as well. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, this episode is beautiful. There's a lot of like the Haru's farm, I think, is one of the most beautiful like landscapes we've seen like in art pieces so far. But yeah, it's interesting. Kevin Michael Richardson voices Tyro, who's Haru's dad. He's the guy with the really deep voice. He also plays Captain Gantu in Lilo and Stitch. He's done a ton of things. Yeah, I mean, it's not my favorite episode. Anything else you guys want to highlight from this episode?
The first speech that Katara gives is so
Yeah.
awkward.
Yeah, it really is.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm just like cringing the whole
Second,
time.
like third-hand embarrassment.
Yeah.
I'm like not even in the world, and I'm still like cringing for her.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of naivety in this episode with her, and it's just like
Mm-hmm.
one, like when she's having the conversation with, is it Haru or Maru?
Haru.
Haru.
Haru, yeah, with his mom, right? Because she's like, oh, what else could they do? Like, come on, just fight. But it's like, no, like they're taking our people. They're taking.
Yeah.
You don't even understand what's going on.
There's more stakes for them.
Yeah, and then it's also just like, again with that speech, it's just like she has this hope and this drive, but she doesn't know the drain that these people have been through. Like,
Yeah,
all-
and
all
I
the-
do like that they don't immediately like. I think in like a lesser show, she would have given that one speech, and then it would have like been a light switch, and they're like, yeah, let's help out. I like that it like takes a while for them to actually like come around, and it's only when Haru steps up that the other guys are like enticed to defend him and step up, get their spirit back. Like I like that it's not like an instant thing.
I think it was pointed out very well actually by the warden guy. I forget his name. But the
I think it's
warden.
Warden, yeah.
He's like, I broke their spirits long ago. Like,
Yeah,
little girl.
that voice actor is also really good.
He is really like
yeah,
easy to hate that guy, which is so
Yeah.
it's like well done. When he throws the captain overboard, he's like,
Oh yeah,
"We'll
yeah.
find someone I
sorry?
haven't thrown overboard
Yeah,
and tell them to do this." Yeah, I would agree. It's like a pretty mediocre, like middle of the road. I don't want to say mediocre. It's a middle of the road episode for Avatar.
Yeah,
I think I'd rank-
this is also the episode I think where Zuko gets her necklace.
Oh, at the
Yeah.
end. Yep.
Yeah.
yeah.
What do you guys rank this episode?
I think this is a 5.
All right.
Solid middle ground.
Which one did I say was a 5 again? The Southern Air Temple.
Yeah, Southern Air Temple was a 5.
I'd say this is like a 4.5. Like
All right.
just below that one.
I said this one is a 6. It's the lowest one I've given so far, but I still think it has some decent elements. Haha, elements to it. Are you guys a Zutara shipper or a Katang shipper?
No.
Katang.
What? I want to talk about that. Katang?
Katang.
I'm also
dude.
Katang.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're a
Yeah.
Katang group. Let's go.
I am 100% certain that people were like Zutara or freaking like those are the people that love toxic relationships. They're the ones that when they get in a relationship with somebody, they like stick with it even though they're like it's just going bad. They're like, "Oh, but he loves me." Like, no, just like treat yourself. Like you know your worth. Get out of that. Like they're literally fighting each other for like 2 and a half books, and then you're just like, oh, okay, like, but they could like, sneaky link. Like, no.
Daniel, I would say that like I know a lot of people that are big Zutara fans, and I
Cut
think
them out of your life.
well, one is Rina, so that would be a problem.
Oh.
And I think the way it was explained to me is the fact that the enemies to lovers trope is like really popular in like in fiction. Like a lot of people really like it in fiction these days. You see it all the time in different books and stuff. So I think it's just a trope that they're like, going off of.
Yeah, but no.
I don't. I am a huge. I like Aang, so I'm gonna stick with Katang. But
yeah,
I don't know. They set it up the entire series. Like you.
What about that like 12% that says like Ket?
No.
Screw that. No.
I hate Jet. All right.
Are we gonna get to Jet?
Yeah, we will. All right, let's keep going. Episode 7, Winter Solstice Part 1. First of the two-parters. Iroh in a hot tub. Everyone's thoughts on that?
10 out of 10.
Hot. Yeah.
I love the when he like
perfectly
talks to the
myself.
little mole something or other. I forget what hybrid animal it was, but that was just he's just having a conversation with an animal in the wilderness and then gets jumped by a bunch of and then Zuko comes in and is
With
analyzing
his detective skills.
He's
Rocks
like,
don't slide up.
rocks don't slide uphill. I'm like, nobody
Sherlock.
else even considered that it could have been like everyone
Like
else was like, oh,
Earthbenders?
it's just a landslide, shit happens. Uncle Iroh's gone forever.
As they're like,
As they live in a
as they're
world where
in-
people can move elements.
Yeah, like they're maybe not the brightest.
They're in the Earth Kingdom.
Zuko's doing his detective stuff, smelling sandals.
yeah. Oh yeah, that's Uncle, all right.
Yeah. But this one starts out really sad from Aang's perspective and the gang's perspective when they're flying out over and they see a forest that's been burned down, just decimated by presumably Fire Nation. We don't know for sure, but I think it's alluded to that this is just another one of the side effects of war, and we see what happens, and the spirits are upset because of it. They find the town, but Katara reminds Aang that there's the acorns that will then produce more trees. Like the cycle will continue, the trees will be reborn. Not everything is dead and gone forever. It will heal and balance will be restored, which is such like a perfect metaphor for the entire series. In episode
really
7,
is.
like this is it's such a wise thing for a 14-year-old girl to be pointing out, but it's a really sweet way of starting the episode.
Would those be Katara's first trees? Not in this episode, but like
What?
I'm just trying to think about like how much does she know about trees if she's lived in the southern
That's
Warrior tribe?
true.
That is a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, how does she know about
So
acorns?
So how does she know? That's my point. Is how does she?
She's out.
She's experienced trees for approximately 4 episodes now.
And is an expert. I do like how in this episode, this is later, but like how Zuko is chasing Iroh or like tracking him down, trying to rescue him after he's captured. And he does see Appa and Katara, I think, like flying the opposite way. And he makes the conscious decision to not follow them, which has been up until this point his only driving goal. And he chooses to go save Uncle Iroh. I think that shows how special of a bond they have in a very short moment. I think it's very cool they
That's
included
one thing
that.
I love about with all the little tidbits we get with Zuko early on here. Kind of like what we were saying before. Like there's these moments to where you understand his values. Like obviously, like he's saying, my honor. Like he's driven to go get his honor back, but he values the lessons that he's learned from his uncle. Also, his family relationships with his uncle primarily, but also again, as futile as it is, still trying to regain that connection with his own father, right?
I mean, Uncle Iroh's really a father figure for Zuko.
Oh yeah.
Even before he was banished, Uncle Iroh was kind of acting like a father. Like his father was really distant, and
Yeah.
Zuko was a bit of a mama's boy,
Yeah.
but Uncle Iroh was like the one that was talking to him and letting him into the War Council and stuff like that. So it was Uncle Iroh all along.
That brings up a great point that like not everyone in the Fire Nation is bad, and not everyone in the rest of the world is like good. Like it's not as black and white.
Black and white.
And that's a big theme of this show. That like I mean, in this episode, like the Earth benders are the ones that very violently like attack this unassuming old man. And later we'll even see with Jet, like Jet is trying to do good, but like is going too far with it and ends up kind of going down a dark path. And it's not so black and white as to who's good and who's evil in this world. And I think that's like a big theme, especially with Zuko's character, but also I think it's also represented in a much real way, speaking of black and white, like with the choice of spirit that attacks the village in this episode. It's like a panda, black and white creature who also is not, it seems like he's just evil in the beginning because he's this monster attacking the village, but then when you learn why he's doing it and why then eventually he stops, it's not as black and white as you usually think. And I think all of those themes are just fantastic.
Agreed. That was a really freaking good transition, Jake. That was
Thanks.
And this is a kid's show.
Yeah.
These themes are so deep. It's still relevant today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is also the episode where we learn about that Aang has to go talk to Roku for during the winter solstice. So what do you guys rank this episode?
Daniel, you go first.
I'm going to say like a 6.7.
All right.
Because it's a good introductory to like the beginning of like spirits and all that kind of stuff. But I don't think there's that much, and you know, it's wholesome with like, you know, the pan and all that, but there wasn't much else going on.
Okay.
You know, but it's still pretty good.
I think it's a solid 7. Like it's like Daniel said, it's above average. It's, you know, it's moving the plot along quite a bit actually. And I could push for like a 7.5. It's in that range where it's good, it's solid. And I do love the fact that it's Zuko's not pursuing Aang in this one. It's
changes up.
He's pursuing. It is, yeah. He's pursuing Uncle Iroh.
Yeah. He's always pursuing someone. I'm giving this one. I forgot I changed one of my previous rankings. Episode 3, I'm giving that a 7.1, and I'm giving this one a 7. Because I think I like the Southern Air Temple a little more than this one, but this one I still think is pretty solid. Again, like Daniel said, introduction to kind of spirits, but it feels like more of a setup for this next episode. We're gonna get to the Winter Solstice Part 2, Avatar Roku, which, spoiler, this is my favorite episode out of these 10.
Really?
Yeah, dude. Let's get into it.
Yeah. This is a banger. Like,
yeah,
it really is.
I mean, it starts off, they're going to infiltrate the Fire Nation, which is the first time we actually get them going into the Fire Nation. I love the bond they have, because Aang's like, I don't want you guys to come with me, it's too dangerous, and then they're like, we're coming with you. And I just love that this bond that is formed, because these guys were strangers 7 episodes ago, and now they're like, I'm gonna invade like Russia with you, basically. No, I don't know.
Ride or die,
Oh
baby.
my god.
Yeah, bad boys for life. And then that leads to like an incredible, like this sequence where they're like, there's been like a lot of unique action, but we've never seen, this is the first time we've seen like kind of air combat. Like they're flying up over this blockade and there's freaking fireballs like flinging all around them. It is so sick, dude. Like this is air warfare. Yeah, with tons of ships. Like I feel like the highest stakes we've had to this point.
Appa, the real hero. Guaranteed.
Oh my gosh. He like tanks 2 fireballs during this battle, I'm pretty sure.
When Aang goes up and just blows one of them up ahead of the thing, that was badass.
Yeah.
Like the first or the second episode, when he like deflects the fireball over and hits the wall of the canyon or whatever. Ice thing.
Yeah.
That's cool. But when he just blows it up in front of
just
everyone.
head on. Not just deflecting, just like attacking.
That's a shift in perspective too. Like he's not just deflecting, he is going through something.
Which is what the air nomads were kind of trained to do. And I guess that's good that he's not just deflecting, because he needs to learn 4 different styles, some of them which like is just attacking head on. So he's getting ready for that.
Yeah, it's very Earthbender of him.
Yeah. Speaking of Appa, though, I did want to flag that he is a hybrid of a manatee and a bison. That is his two hybrid. Like he's supposed to be, like when you look at him, it kind of looks like he's like swimming through the air almost, like a manatee.
I can see it. I wanted to ask you guys about this because we're talking about the animal aspects of Good here, but the variation between mixed animals and regular animals, because I feel like season 1 we're getting a lot more regular animals.
Really, I think it's only like 1 or 2. Like I think we get Miyuki, the like cat. She's like a normal cat.
That's in the next section too, right?
Oh yeah, that's episodes 11 through 20. And
but
then like most of the animals are hybrid.
Of Kangaroo Island, there was
but they also don't call them like Appa's a sky bison. They don't say manatee bison. So like maybe Kangaroo Island could be like a kangaroo dolphin hybrid or something like that. But they call them
that's
kangaroos.
True, but there's something else that I was thinking of. There's another animal that was just like a normal animal that like threw me off.
Daniel, these are the hybrid animals of season 1. Please.
He pulls up he has this page
otter.
like read.
I had it bookmarked because I wanted to talk about it.
The otter penguin. Oh, I love them.
Yeah, I love those, dude.
The original creator was upset that they did, or like kind of like upset that they did so many different pig variations, but the like animators went crazy. Like there's a pig deer, pigster, woolly pig, and
Oh wait, the panda. That's what I'm thinking of. The panda spirit is just a giant panda.
The spirits, I think, are supposed to be like singular. I think that's like kind of the point of it, is like they're different than like the creatures of the world. I'm more forgiving of that.
Really? I thought that would have been like a panda that was like, I don't know, lived in the forest. So they made a shrine of it, and then it died.
Also, the Komodo rhinos are sick, dude.
No, I do love
the
Komodo rhinos.
Very
dude.
true.
Those are freaking
Dude,
the lizard thing that oh god, what's her name? You know what I'm talking about.
June.
No, that's an anteater.
Yeah.
June with her shear shrew.
Let me find her.
Yeah, sure.
Dude,
yeah.
have you seen June in the live action trailer?
Do I need to look it up?
She could do some things to me. She could paralyze me.
That's the same thinking that Iroh had.
Yeah.
Apparently June is actually modeled off of one of the animators.
Yeah,
like someone
it's right
who
here.
worked...
Hey, yo.
Bounty Hunter June was modeled to look like our friend and post-production supervisor Lisa Yang. We even named the Shearshoe after her dog Nyla. Yeah.
I think she's had several other characters. Oh, it was May. May has her personality. That's what it was.
Yeah.
I see.
So like she has several different like characters all based off of her. What was her name again?
Lisa Yang, I think.
Lisa. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be looking on LinkedIn later.
On LinkedIn.
This is also 20 years ago, Daniel.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
Almost.
All right.
In another year,
when they were doing the concepts for it.
Oh,
it was
yeah,
20 years ago.
It must have been
2004.
over 20 years ago. I think they started in like 2001 or 2002.
I think 2002 they started.
That's
like,
crazy.
Ideas, yeah.
Which is insane. It was first released in 2005.
Yeah.
Which is almost 20 years ago. Holy cow.
This
We're old.
This is also I like that once they get into Roku's like palace, they don't. There's one sage that doesn't want to fight Aang, which I do really like. Again, showing black and white, like not everyone is evil that's here, but some of them are like do want to attack him.
Yeah, that was more of like a charcoal.
It was kind of a twist when all of the sages were like they acted at the beginning like they were all like against him, even though they were supposed to be like working for the Avatar.
Yeah.
It really shows you how far things have fallen in 100 years.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I also like.
It's 100
eventually,
years.
Yeah. I like how they get into the room because they like use Sokka's idea to like blast the doors open, like use blast to simulate fire charges, and that doesn't work. But then Katara comes up with the idea that like they'll think it works, so they'll open the door for us. Like that's a pretty complex plan, and again, kind of goes back to Boomy's big idea, like think differently when you're going through these challenges. And that was like I really liked that plan. Like it's super complex, but like freaking worked. Like that was cool.
I think that's one of the first times we really see Sokka starting to do that, where he's the planner, he's thinking out, like setting up the dominoes and knocking them down kind of thing for the team.
Yeah.
So,
He gets knocked down He gets up again.
I think we see it a little bit more in Jet
The
as well.
Northern Air Temple. Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that.
But Jet is in a way where it's more manipulative. That's the big thing there.
Let's not talk about Jet yet.
That's true.
We'll
Too
get
much
there.
time already.
Yeah.
And then Zuko like tracks him, and Zhao just copies his homework and also tracks him to this place. But then like freaking Aang gets to talk to Roku, and then like goes wild. Like seeing a fully realized Avatar just like go crazy against the Fire Nation is sick. And also the fact that like that Roku burns hot enough that it melts the chains off of like Katara and the gang, and also Zuko, but that it doesn't harm them, to show how much control he has is really cool. Also, I think it's cool that he does melt Zuko's chains. Kind of shows that maybe he knows a little bit about Zuko's destiny, and also knows that Zuko's, spoiler alert, is his great-grandson or great-great-grandson, one of those.
Great.
Remember,
I think it's 2
Roku
grades.
is, yeah, which I think is just sick. Everything's connected.
That was that key point of like it's such power, but also the control behind it.
Yeah,
Of a fully realized Avatar. Roku was how old when he's up there? He was 80s or something like that. He was getting old when he died, but he was insanely powerful as a firebender. At that time. So.
and then he melts the floor, and the music in this scene too. Like, oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
He basically destroys his own firebending temple.
Yeah.
But it's really poetic because Roku originally died from a volcanic explosion.
Yeah, true.
He died when his home island was erupting. So, and he was trying to basically defeat the volcano almost.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit poetic that he's the one that brought out the ruin of his own temple using the same. Is it the
Volcanic.
same? I think it might be the same exact island too.
Is it the same
Oh,
island?
I think
really?
I thought
it's his
so,
home
yeah.
island.
That's cool.
That they built it on,
Yeah.
and he's the one that basically destroyed it again. Full circle.
Yeah, so I guess in the
He
end
said,
he
"This
kind of
time
like
I'm in
he
control."
conquered the volcano, like he controlled it. That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
It's a really interesting thought, but
Yeah.
my God, he's so powerful. It is so cool, and
Yeah, dude.
just seems like the wise old man. It's really cool that he is
Yeah.
also like, I'm within you. Like you
Yeah.
can talk to me whenever, basically.
Yeah.
Once you master the Avatar state.
Yeah.
That's the only way I'd be good with an old man saying he's in me.
Okay. If you conquer the Avatar state. This episode's so sick. It also sets up the entire like rest of the show. Like this is where we learn like about the deadline of Sozin's comet, and that Aang has to defeat him by this time and master all the elements. Like this is when
In,
it
like,
really gets going.
8 months?
Yeah,
something like that.
crazy.
That's absurd.
And then also you talked about like the gang like flying at the end of that one episode, and how like the tone shifted. The end of this episode, it's just the gang flying into the moonlight, and it's silence. Like I don't think anyone says anything, and it's like the music plays. But that moment, dude, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. Like it's, oh my gosh, because it's like the weight of the responsibility that was just put upon this group is like setting in, and like it's crazy.
Solemn. It's a very solemn
Yeah.
feel of like the responsibility, like you're saying.
Yeah.
It's a lot for 3 kids to take on.
What do you rank this episode?
9.5?
9.2. Okay.
I said 9, flat.
Okay. So we're all in the same ballpark.
This is
Wait, what
yeah.
did you said 9.5, Logan?
Yeah.
Daniel said 9.2. In the 9s. I think this is the first 9, except for Daniel. You said Kyoshi was also 9.
Yeah. I just love that episode.
Yeah,
is
it's a good
really
one.
good one. This one, phenomenal. It really does
Yeah.
set up the entire rest of the show.
Yeah.
It gives it a sense of urgency too, which
Yes.
Yeah.
it's useful in the sense of story building and having the conflict, the overarching conflict, pushing at all times
Yeah.
on the characters.
All right. We got 2 more left. Let's do this. This is going to be a long podcast episode. Thank you all for listening. So the Waterbending Scroll is next. This is where Katara starts teaching Aang waterbending, and then they find like the pirate thing. I also like there's a subtle moment. Sokka like is a team player and like agrees to clean the gunk out of Appa's toes. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
He's just like, okay.
Yeah. What do you think about the story beat that Katara like steals the scroll. Like that kind of might seem like a little out of character, but also like I understand why she did it totally.
I think it's one of those instances where she's being a kid again. Like she's not, maybe an adult wouldn't do that kind of thing, but she's like she's got a little bit of the mischief. And Aang he's all about it. He's a mischievous kind of kid still.
Yeah.
Sokka was the one that was against it, mostly because of the repercussions that happened immediately. Yeah. But Katara's like, yeah, we got the Avatar on our side. Like how bad is a couple pirates?
And then Zuko teams up with the pirates.
And she is being a little bit childish too with like the jealousy aspect.
Yeah,
and
I didn't
wanting.
really like that too much. I get why she did it. Like it makes sense that she wants to be good because this was kind of her thing before it was Aang's in her mind. But it also makes sense that Aang is a quick learner because he's a mastered airbending. He's mastered and like is familiar with how to bend. And like Katara doesn't even have that base to start from.
That's true.
And waterbending is not too far different from air.
Right.
It's pretty flowy. Yeah. It's got the same type of movements. I think a lot of the case. So.
I do like that concept. Kind of comes back when Aang struggles with earthbending, and I like how that because it's the opposite element, it's more difficult for him to pick up. But since this one's adjacent, like it's not as challenging.
Yeah,
it definitely shows some character flaws in Katara, which I don't think we've really seen that much of up until this point.
Right,
like,
minus the fact that she brings up her mother every 2 seconds.
Yeah, and she's like a little bit of like too optimistic bossy. Sometimes.
Oh yeah,
she can be optimistic. Yeah, they're bossy too, but like. There are flaws in the character, all of the characters. Which
and that's good. That's a well-rounded character.
Exactly.
If you don't have flaws, like it's kind of like the Superman syndrome, where like you don't want to watch someone that's too perfect. You
can't relate. Yeah, I think.
And they don't have anywhere to grow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And there's a ton of growth.
That's the thing
that happens.
Yeah,
they're all relatable in different ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just from their different personality traits. So it is fun to see like this dynamic of them all in different, again, like what we were saying before about like how they're even approaching the situation mentally. Like Aang, he's go with the flow. Katara's like, she has her reasons, but she's also just like, and then Sokka's just like, you're both idiots. Like we should not be doing this. We already got enough heat on our tail. Like
my favorite, so I'm thinking back to the humor, but like my favorite line from this is when the pirate and Zuko, the main pirate and Zuko are like fighting, and then Iroh's like, "Stop! Are you two idiots too dumb to like look and see that your own ship is sailing away?" And he's like, "We don't have time for proverbs." He's like, "It's no proverb." And he turns around, the ship's going. Like that's so funny.
That he's like, maybe it should be a proverb.
Yeah,
that is a great. The pirates are so funny.
Yeah, I saw that I think in the Braving the Elements podcast that Zuko, the voice actor, and Mako, who was the original voice actor for Iroh, like worked together on a lot of projects. Like they, as like a father-son kind of mentor-mentee relationship, so they were very familiar and kind of could settle into that easily, which I think comes through and is really cool. But yeah, I don't really have much to say about this episode. Like, it's cool that they're finally starting to like. Like immediately after the Roku episode where they're like, you have to learn bending, they immediately start like trying to learn water bending even before they get to the North Pole. So it's cool to see that urgency and seeing the progression of beginning to learn bending. But besides that, like, I don't have too much to say about this. What would you guys, any last thoughts or ranking? It's
a really fun episode. It kind of goes back. You can tell it's one of the earlier episodes where it's still like a fun loving, it's a bit of a mischievous time that they're having where they're kids, and it's not quite as serious as some of the other ones.
Yeah. All right. Ranking, Daniel?
7.6.
Logan?
I'd give it an 8, I think. I was actually going to rank it, I think, a little bit higher, and then as we talked about, I'm like, maybe not quite as high. Again, I want to leave room for some of the other ones.
I'm giving this one a 6.7 just because Katara gets a little pissy, in my opinion, about like wanting to be the best. But I do understand it, and she has to grow. Yeah. All right. Last episode of this first 10. This has, again, been a long episode. Maybe next week. I was planning on talking about the Netflix trailer that just came out. Maybe we can talk about that briefly, or we could save that for next week. as well, because this week we kind of have to set up the whole show at the top, and then we won't have to do that next week. So, episode 10, Jet. What do you think of Jet as a character?
He's a well-written character, and you understand where he's coming from.
Yes, agreed.
But at the same time, like, you're not supposed to like him.
Agreed. Completely agreed.
Yeah.
You understand his motivations. Sorry, Logan, you're
it's
saying?
a very relatable. Yeah, I was gonna say it's a very relatable. Well, maybe, kind of. Like I don't have inclinations to murder a whole town, but he's vengeful, which is that's it makes sense. His family was destroyed, and like it's understandable that a lot of people in this world would have vengeful point of view towards the Fire Nation. And it's kind of wild that like it's a bunch of kids in a treehouse in a very
taking their matters in their own hands.
Mm-hmm. It's like Huckleberry Finn and that kind of old time. It's a bunch of kids just being kids, and the one leader who is arguably a little bit not all the kids are bad in any way. They're just following orders and following their leader who is maybe gone down too dark of a path.
Yeah, gone too far.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very interesting concept. I think it's executed pretty well. I don't like Jet also because, and more selfishly because like we just said, I'm a Katang shipper, and that he puts a major wedge, like the dramatic twirl he does when they are going up to the treehouse tower. I was like, get your grummy little hands off a guitar.
When he is fighting and does slow motion fighting at times, it's like, damn, this dude's cool. I don't like it.
Yeah. It's also sick. Yeah, his weapons are so unique and cool. But yeah, it's hard.
Those hook blades are dope.
Yeah, it's cool. It's hard to not think he's cool because he is a very cool dude.
With the stupid little
tweed or whatever.
piece of wheat. I don't know.
Yeah.
He took on Aang and beat him up.
Yeah,
a good amount, which is
one thing
hilarious.
I do like when non-benders and benders fight, and the unique ways they showcase that and the different fighting styles. I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, and he did take on Aang, which is pretty impressive. I mean, it was in his domain, which makes sense. And he's got some.
I do think Aang wasn't really trying to hurt him that much.
Yeah.
Aang wasn't maybe going full out, but it's still very impressive. All the different characters that we see.
Oh my gosh.
What'd you say?
Aang goes to the Avatar state against Jet.
It's you're going after my girl.
It's Kyoshi that comes out. It's
oh my gosh.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Roku emerges another volcano under the the treehouse.
But yeah, no, Jake. But your point there with benders versus non-benders. That's one of my favorite things about Sokka throughout the entire thing.
Yes.
Especially later on when he goes through his own sword training and makes his own sword in book 3 and all that.
But he's very capable and doesn't let his limitations define him, and he uses his own skills to be a valuable member of the team.
I wouldn't even call them limitations. Not being able to bend.
It's kind of an asset because it forces him to focus on using his mind and his strategicness and his boomerang.
Have you noticed that he picks up his non-bending fighting styles from each of the different nations as well?
Yeah,
along the way,
Kyoshi's
and then earth, and then
the
he
sword fighting,
learns the fire, the sword bending from the sword bending. Jeez, sword fighting.
That'd be sick
from the Fire Nation.
That'd be dope. It's like Hela from Thor, but it's dude, that'd be sick,
dude. That's again Avatar if Momo could sword bend.
Sword bending's the next step after metal bending,
Yeah, honestly.
Fair. Yeah.
There's a little bit of it in Korra when what's her face was fighting.
Kujiva, whatever her name was.
Yeah.
I don't know her name. The season 4 villain.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. When she's using her metal strips. But yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I do like the art in this episode as well. The treehouse vibe kind of felt very different than the rest. And I know the the Fire Nation is kind of, their colors are like more red. And so even though this wasn't in the Fire Nation, because like Jet is kind of like a much darker character, kind of gave me like vibes of Fire Nation because they use that visual language to kind of cue you into maybe this dude's not as nice as we originally thought, which I think is pretty cool storytelling technique.
And the Fire Nation had taken over that area too, right? So
Right, yeah.
they had control and all that, which is cool. Visual storytelling.
Yeah. And again, like I mentioned earlier, I like how they flesh out the side characters in Jet's gang, like Pipsqueak, the Duke, all those guys.
What's it, Long Shot or something?
Yeah, Long Shot was one of them.
Long Shot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, Dave
And then-
Filoni directed this episode, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did this one. This was
Yeah.
Aang also loses his staff again in this episode. So like he's about, once they figure out Jet's plan, like Aang's about to jump off the cliff to like glide and stop it, but Jet runs in and like grabs it, and so that he can't get to the dam. I'm gonna rate that a 6 out of 10 because like Aang didn't really see it coming. So like it's a pretty good reason that
I'll give
But-
it a
but-
7
yeah.
for like how Jet
Caught
did
him by
it. I'll give it a
surprise.
7.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think 6. I'd rate between 6.5. I think it was cool, or actually quite impressive that Jet
Yeah.
again is taking
That's what I'm
on
saying.
Aang. Didn't the glider get like broken or destroyed a little bit?
Yeah, I think so when they were like jumping through the trees, and that's why once he got it back, he couldn't like go immediately to the dam.
Mm-hmm. I remember it was like a little bit tattered up or something, and
Yeah.
which was sad, but
And then Katara is ultimately the one that freezes Jet, which I think is really cool because it shows the progression of Katara starting to learn waterbending, as we saw in the last episode with the scroll, that she's like getting definitely better with her powers. It's also emotional for her because she trusted this guy and they like trauma bonded over like both their parents dying to the Fire Nation.
Her instincts were wrong, but at the same time she's not a simp, so you know. Good for her.
And then it's also interesting because the plan goes through, like the dam blows up and like destroys the town, which is pretty sucks for all those people that live there. But luckily, like Sokka got there first, again using his strategy brain. He knew he probably couldn't defeat all of the warriors, so he went down to the source of the problem and like evacuated everyone.
Yeah.
I like this one. I'm giving this. I have my ranking already. What do you guys give it?
No, Jake, you should go first because me and Logan have been going first.
No, but okay. We'll
I'm
get your
actually
numbers
still
in your
thinking
head
about
then.
it. Yeah.
I'll wait to say it.
What did I do for the last one?
8 for the last one.
Okay.
Yeah. I like how Aang just did not care, like, about, like, Jet. Like, he was like, Jet's a cool guy. Like, he didn't care that he was, like, risen up Katara at all.
Maybe he just didn't know. I don't know.
He is a little bit
He's a
naive
nonchalant
sometimes.
Riz.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true. But yeah.
Do you guys have your numbers? You ready for me to give mine?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. I gave this one a 7.25. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I like it better than the last one. The last one I gave is 6.7. I have also the order of mine I can give you afterwards.
That's fair.
I'll be generous and give it a 7.5. I think.
Okay. I might
think-
be biased and like dragging it down just because I hate Jet and I don't like that he tries to get between Katara and Aang.
Well,
That
I
might
think
be part of the reason.
Yeah, I think it's a phenomenal like it's a really well done episode because of kind of how much you end up hating Jet. After, like, if you're watching this for the first time, you don't realize that Jet's bad initially. Like, he seems like he's not this like a
right.
but he's like a
But
cool
then when
guy.
he like attacks that old man, you're like, whoa.
So you're kind of like learning with Sokka, I guess.
It's also cool, kind of some parallels, but in the Imprisoned episode, the reason Haru got captured is because that old man like tattled on him basically from the Earth Kingdom. And again, going back to the black and white themes, the reason Sokka is able to convince everyone to leave the town is because the old man that he stood up for from the Fire Nation supported him. So that's a pretty cool parallel there.
True, yeah. Not black and white.
Yeah. Dan, what do you give this one?
Well, maybe that just means that old men will do what's in their best interest. But either way.
That is actually not a terrible point.
That's the lesson of all of Avatar.
That's pretty gray, actually. Like, gray areas. Do what's in your own best interest, but yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I'm going to say 7.4.
All right. I can give you my final ranking in order. I don't have your guys' in order, but my top episode was the Winter Solstice Part 2, Avatar Roku. Then I had King of Omashu was actually my second episode. Then I had Warriors of Kyoshi. Then Jet was number 4. Then I had the Southern Air Temple at 5. In order. And then I had the Winter Solstice Part 1, the Spirit World at 6. Then I had episode 2, the Avatar Returns at number 7. Number 8, I had the Waterbending Scroll. 9, I had the first episode, The Boy in the Iceberg. And then 10, I had Imprisoned. That was my ranking of the episodes.
Jake, I think you and I are pretty similar, except we swapped Kyoshi and Omashu.
Yeah, you had Kyoshi as your top. After
and then
Avatar Roku.
Did I have Kyoshi in my top? Actually, yeah, I think I did. Yeah.
Well, you had as your number 2. You had Kyoshi. We can organize it after the pod and do like later. A big reveal at the end.
We can let's recap next time. I think that's a great way to start the next episode.
Yeah, that's a great way.
Kind of.
I do want to ask before we wrap up. Do you have any favorite moments or least favorite moments overall from this batch of episodes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Omashu fight. Aang gets sent back into like the pit for the third test and all that.
Uh-huh.
But that shot, for some reason, it's literally so nitpicky. But the shot, like, Aang lands and, like, slides or whatever, but then the shot continues until he's completely out of shot. And it throws me off every time I watch that. I'm like, why I thought
you were saying this is your favorite moment. I was like, oh, okay.
No, like, that just throws me off every time. Yeah. He's just out of shot. It's, like, holding there for a second, and then it shoots back.
Just an animation thing, yeah.
Logan,
do you have a favorite or least favorite moment from this batch?
I'm stuck between unsurprisingly, the Avatar state in
episode 2.
In episode 2 and the Avatar in Roku's Avatar.
Yeah.
From episode 8. Yeah, they're just both so powerful.
Yeah,
like
I think Roku's mine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then if that's the case, I'll say the from episode 2, The Boy in the Iceberg.
Okay.
What's that one called?
I love the moment that we had the Boy in Avatar Returns. I love what you said too, when Aang just like kicks or like breaks the fireball, and also when Appa just tanks one, like that whole I love that episode.
That one's really good. I think just the power behind and the music every time that they have the Avatar state is just, it blows me away.
Except it kind of is a double-edged sword, because I hate that they used it in we'll get there next episode, but Great Divide, when they're like climbing out of the canyon, they play the Avatar theme, and I'm like, this is so undeserving of the Avatar theme right now. Like when they're on the backs of those spiders climbing out, I'm like, what are you doing, man?
That episode is just...
We'll get there. All right.
Yeah.
I do have another wrap-up question. Do you have a MVP, like a character that you think was like a highlight, that you really liked from this batch of episodes? Froth mouth guy from Kyoshi.
100%.
Appa, guaranteed. Absolutely.
That's a good one.
He's the MVP every episode, basically.
Yeah.
Until
I might say
season 2.
Sokka. I feel like Sokka's had like the most immediate growth and change. Like he's established as this like misogynist, and then he's very quickly like taken out of that. And then we start to see a strategic mind. So I really like Sokka in this batch of episodes.
That's a good point.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
All right. Next episode we'll get into the next 10 of book 1 and wrap those up. Yeah. Do you guys have any other last minute thoughts on this first batch before we wrap things up?
I mean, this is just a groundbreaking show.
Yeah.
Thinking back as to when it was made, like, it blows my mind that they were able to achieve everything that they did. With such high level. So
I'm so glad we were like the target audience also, like, not that you can't enjoy it at any age, but like that I was exposed to it like as it was coming out, like, and lived through that. Is very thankful for that.
Like imagine being a parent during that time, and like you're like, like maybe you're like the kind that like watches the show with your kid or something like that.
Like so invested. Your kid
has
like,
oh my
god, practice like on the day a new episode comes out. Like, sorry, you gotta come home and watch this. Like, they're more invested. All right.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be so funny. But yeah.
Are you ready for patron shoutouts?
Yeah, man, hit me with them.
Cue the episode music. Booshka, Patron, Lori, Frank, Rick, Lisa, Evan, Tony. Thank you so much for pledging the tiers. Consider this shout out if you'd like to support us over on Patreon. Link is down in the description to get the audio episode early. Special benefits, cool virtual legends, and more. Thank you sincerely to our Patreon supporters. All right, you ready for our cool comments?
Yeah, what were people saying this time? My comment is Avatar is cool.
Yeah, that's a good comment. Daniel
I can get
writes
behind
in.
that.
Wait, I think I might have brought this comment up before, but it still makes me laugh, so I'm going to bring it up again. Well, we posted a TikTok called What Will Loki's Director Do Next? And we were talking about Loki and all that. And then, because I remember this name came up. Woman Annihilator commented, just a reminder, Cars 2 is the best Cars movie. Just like out of the blue, like not related to our TikTok at all.
I love the
Just
name
Woman
too.
Annihilator.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
All right. You ready for the introduction?
Yeah, tell me when.
When?
We just talk about whatever we want to talk about, and now we're done. Bling.
Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. We really appreciate it. We'll be back next week with the next 10 episodes of Avatar: The Last Airbender, Book 1, Water. Thank you again,
Yes.
Logan, for joining us. Is there anything you want to plug or anything you want to shout out while you're here?
No, not really, but thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah, of course, man.
Yeah, of course, man. All right. Well, I mean, Logan will be back next week, so see you all then. Goodbye.
Boy.